What's up, and welcome to the Non-Fungible Creator Show. This is your host, Non-Fungible TC, Non-Fungible today and Non-Fungible tomorrow. And today we are so happy to have Bandon. He used to be a filmmaker where he would go on tours with DJs to document the festivals. But recently he decided to become a full-time Web 3.0 video content creator. So thank you for being here, Bandon. And I know you used to travel a lot with DJs. So can you tell us more about your background?
Hey, thank you for having me. I kind of just had like a crazy time and an adventure, got it out of my system, and I guess here we are. Do you want me to like kind of go into like how I started, or where do you want me to start with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Story?
Could you tell us more about how you started? How did you started becoming a filmmaker for DJs, right? Is it easy to get into the industry, and what was the thought after that?
It was definitely hard. I was like a pizza maker for since I was like 15 years old. And what happened was I was like, there's no way I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to travel. I want to document people's stories. So I kind of picked up a camera, and then with that camera, I went to every single nightclub. I was also like a promoter at the time. So I would I would see the work of other videographers, and I'm like, man, I could do a way better job than this. So I started with that. I started filming absolutely everything I possibly could. I was doing work for free for minimum payments, like $200 a video or whatever, for like 2 years, 3 years. And it wasn't until like people started really like supply and demand where I started getting paid quite a lot. And I went to this place called the Hoxton, where I got like a full-time job shooting like 3-4 times a week. And they would big me up to all these different DJs because I was like so consistent with my work. And these DJs, after they come back like next year or the year after that, they see me again, and then they're like, hey, you want to travel with us? So like out of all my references, people wanted me to go on tour with them. And then I started traveling like 3-4 different countries in a week. Like it got really, really insane. And then it just snowballed from there. Honestly, it really just boils down to supply and demand, becoming value, adding value to people. And that's where I was able to get my opportunity with this career.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing how you started, like you said, it took you 2 to 3 years to, get notice of, doing freelance or even do free gigs just to get what you have built so far. So, out of curiosity, while touring with DJs and that, how did you get into NFTs and crypto? Did like a DJ introduce you, hey, check this out, or something like that?
Yeah, so I quit filmmaking, I think it was like 3-4 years ago. And what happened was I was in Miami, and I got a call from one of my references, and he was like, hey, can you fly to Taiwan tomorrow? And I was like Miami Music Week with like Sam Felt and Carnage and all those guys. And then they're like, oh shit. And I was like, all right, fuck it. So I flew to Taiwan, and it was like these luxury party events. And what it was is like these like filthy rich guys who wanted to film their lifestyle brand. And I was like wondering like how did I get to get into this world? This is like unbelievable, the amount of luxury that I was filming, from like the yachts, the parties, etc. And I wanted to kind of get out. Like I was a little bit burnt out from touring all the time, nonstop travel, time zone differences and all that stuff. So it was like a Wolf on Wall Street moment where I was like, show me a check for like $90,000 a week. And then, okay, you know what? I'm going to work for you. And then I started with just filmmaking for them. They saw that I had a lot of managing skills. So I became a host and a manager, creating these events, like an event planner. And then from there, I asked them to teach me about the business, about iGaming, which is like online casinos and stuff like that. So I pursued that career for like 3-4 years. With COVID, a lot of the activities and a lot of meetings that I do for my job, I couldn't do. So I was kind of like sitting at home, kind of doing nothing. And from there, I was playing from there, like it was just, okay, well, what now? And then I saw the rise of Axie Infinity. I saw a lot of like all this cryptocurrency stuff. And I'm quite new to cryptocurrency. Like it's only been what 6 months, 7 months since I've really dived into it, and I saw a lot of potential in this one coin called like MetaHero Everdome, well MetaHero, that a friend of mine recommended to me, and like I had these great mentors who kind of introduced me into the world, and then I just took off from there. Like it was like 18 hours a day, nonstop grind, similar to what my past was when making videos, and I just like it was a dark, deep, dark rabbit hole I dove into. I would buy things. I would try to understand every single piece of why it works, how it works. It was like a video game, which I was a pretty heavy like video gamer as well. So it just made sense. And when it came to okay, like should I like start making video content, I was teaching a lot of my friends about cryptocurrency, and it became a point where repeating myself over and over and over again was quite tough. So
Mm.
so instead, I decided to make videos, and then those videos started to gain more and more traction. And the growth that I've seen in the last like 3 months have been like quite crazy, considering that I just like released it and then showed a couple of my friends, and it kind of just took off from there.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how you were able to transfer your previous skills as a filmmaker and now use it as, becoming a YouTuber. Because I see that you have the setup, you have this mic and you have all of this type of stuff. So it's great to see how you're able to transition.
Yeah, the transition was definitely a little bit tough though, because it's a very different type of filmmaking, and the
Mm,
editing also. Like I was doing events, cinematic, B-roll type of stuff. So going to the studio, I mean, yes, I'm able to edit really quickly because of my editing history. I would like edit a video within an hour. So like I'd film for 20 minutes, I'd edit for 40 minutes, and then I
mm,
can like kind of get the video out, which was
hmm.
it's quite handy, but obviously it's still a lot of work when you're doing it daily.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Like I'm in the same boat with you. So without further ado, I have your channel on the screen right now. So can you share more about your channel? What do you do on a daily basis? And you call yourself an NFT and crypto researcher, right? So what do you actually do?
Yeah, so everything is just my 18 hours a day, nonstop, studying, studying, studying. I'm looking at case studies. I'm looking at why projects go up, why projects go down, analysis into like everything, um, getting into like finding projects that have such a great foundation, and then
Mm,
getting into them when they're really, really cheap, right? Like we saw the Dower Darcells and the cyber brokers when they were just at like zero point 0.2 for the Dowers and 0.64 for the cyber brokers. And those went up to like what cyber brokers went up to 6.5, whatever.
mhm,
But the whole purpose is to kind of learn as much about the NFT space as possible, to share
mm,
that with the viewer, to add value to the viewer, and to have a more analytical approach.
mm,
Like for example, the project MetaHero, one of my first videos that I was making, I would look at all of these different MetaHero videos and Everdome videos, and they wouldn't deep dive into like the founders, the creators, the histories. There was no thesis or essay behind who was running these projects. It
mhm,
was just kind of like Moon Boy, very like, oh, you should buy this project. It will 100x now, and then this is the next big thing, or you're gonna like miss out, FOMO, blah blah blah. And then I was like, what would be valuable to investors? Okay,
mm,
let's dive into who like Bali Singh is, which is a CMO of MetaHero, and nobody else was doing it. Everyone was asking who he was, but there was no content creator who was
mm.
actually tackling that problem. So I would start deep diving into all of these different smaller nuances of a project, and then that's kind of where it went.
And I love how your thumbnails and your title aren't like those moon boyish type of thumbnails. Like, oh, this is the 100x project, right? It's pretty grounded. Like as you said, you think it's important to have more content that's more grounded, is more analytical. You look at data, you look at facts rather than just FOMO, because people get burned into space, and you're actually investing real money, even though exchanging a token is just so easy.
Yeah, and people don't realize how much money we're like, and as well, like with the in-betweeners, we were quite successful because we got into the mint at like 0.27 and it maxed out at like 2.5. And then that was where I learned kind of one of my craziest lessons. And that was like blockchain technology and the security and smart contract code exploits, because that code was flawed, which led to it going to such a low floor now. I mean, I think it's sitting at a zero point 0.3 floor. And we pumped in maybe like 600K USD into the project. So it's like really unfortunate to have to go through all these lessons, and it's like, fuck, I need to now learn about solidity. I need to learn about blockchain coding, how to protect ourselves. What are like the most important things to look for in an NFT project, so we can like make back those losses, or like also help and build these communities back up because they have so much potential. And what are these projects missing? A lot of these project founders are new, very new to the space, and they need a lot of education too in order to like not fuck over the investor, and how they view the investor as well. Like, I know this is going on a tangent, but like if a founder looks at an investor as like a customer or as as an ally who's building that with you, right? Like, there's so many different nuances to it that apply to the real world of investing. At the end of the day, everything, it's not like anything is new. The only new tech when it comes to NFTs is the fact that it's written on something that can't be destroyed, right? It's the immutable data, indestructible, and it shows the transaction between one person to the next. That is the only change in technology. Everything else is the same real world application, same business, same everything that we've learned all of our lives. But yeah.
Yeah, I like how you put it, because sometimes when you take a step back, exactly what you said is correct. It looks like a lot of NFT projects are actually Kickstarter campaigns, but it's just that they implemented NFTs into it. But the whole concept is saying, oh, I want to use NFT to develop an IP, or I want to film a movie using NFT. You have all of that in Kickstarter. It's just that the liquidity in Kickstarter is less than cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is just so easily accessible.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're just trading like 0.5 ETH or 1 ETH, you don't really attach the money value to it. So that's like another like huge reason why we're seeing these obscene amount of prices. And the FOMO, right? Like, the reason why there's so many like people that call it a scam or whatever is because when opportunity arises, there's so much opportunity for those scammers to take advantage of human error and human emotion. When you see Bored Ape Yacht Club go from a 0.08 floor to a 100 ETH floor, right? You tend to get a little bit crazy in the head when you're like, oh shit, this is the next opportunity. I don't want to miss out on like 1,000xing my money. I'm going to click this really fast. And then all of a sudden they lose everything that they like own, to a bunch of people that talk the talk but aren't able to walk the walk.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. So, how's the journey so far? I know you are around 3 months in, being a full-time content creator. What was your feeling towards the community? How's the journey?
The journey is really good. Right now, we are working on a full Discord revamp. I was actually able to win the grant from the Fortune Friends, so it wasn't really about the money. It was more about the connections and the ability to like align myself with people that I really respected in the space. So we're building a lot of different partnerships, collaborations with other projects, Discord security, which is a huge one, and just overall just building a reputation within the Web3 space that is considered as adding value to people. Like, I'm not perfect, right? Like, people have like hid their losses, but I mean, I'm sitting at like a 47% win rate, which 40% seems bad, but technically it isn't when like 99% of projects fail. So yeah, it's a very interesting metric, like kind of just calculating, analyzing, and building nonstop every second of the day.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, as a researcher for NFTs and crypto, right? And also as someone who started just recently, like around 6 or 7 months ago, What would your tip be for people new to the space? Like, how could they do the research? How could they enter into the space and not get scammed?
Yeah, so the biggest number one thing is your risk assessment.
Mm,
And how I gauge risk assessment is being able to de-risk and take your initial investment out as soon as possible.
mm,
Now, that also comes with, I think one of the earliest tips that I learned in the space, and I really appreciate these two YouTube channels, which was like Max Mahar and Ryan Teo, Rainer Teo, that's it. And I just watched all of their videos. And what they said was that was really important was to keep a diary, right? It's a zero sum game. If you are selling something, right, someone's buying it.
mm,
So you need to really understand where you lose money, where your mistakes are, why are you making those mistakes? Why are you making those decisions? What type of trader you are, right? What type of investor you are, and kind of eliminate your losses, right? You can have like the best cards in poker, aces, and still lose. So, and that's the same thing with this NFT space. The most valuable thing is to understand why you're losing, fix
mm,
that, and secure yourself. That's
mm,
number one by far, because if you go and get lucky and 100x your money or whatever, and then you click on a stupid scam site and then you lose everything, well, everything you, all the work you did was for nothing. You might as well start off with security, with buying a ledger, with understanding a setup between like a hot wallet, cold wallet, warm wallet, and mitigating your risk, how to store your seed phrase. Um, there's a lot of things that you should definitely be doing in the very, very beginning, so you don't repeat all of these different. You don't want to become a story. Let's just say that.
mm. Yeah, like build your fundamentals right, and then build your mindset correctly, right? Rather
Yeah.
than, it's easy to get gains, but it's very, very easy to lose all of them in just one day. I mean, like this space is just so fast and just so cool to beginners.
Yes, and the thing is like you have to really analyze what makes you money and just stick to that, right? Like really stick to that. And these emotions kind of like play with you, because the craziest thing is if a project went from point one, right,
Mm-hmm.
to a point six, oh, you're like, this is safe. You
Mm,
feel safe buying into the project because so many people have bought into it. But in reality, that is the most riskiest position to buy at, because it is 6x the initial price, right?
mm-hmm.
6 6x amount of money of people that are like wanting to use you as exit liquidity to
Mm-hmm.
make that 6x profit. 6x profit is a lot of money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's really about like understanding your entry, right? Only going for like the really good wins, and understanding that if a price is low, that is less risky than if the price is high.
Mm. Yeah, so moving on to our next question. You are a filmmaker in the music industry. So you met different DJs, Chainsmoker, Lau, and others different type of people DJs, right? So what are I know a lot of DJs are actually promoting NFTs as well, right? So, what are your thoughts on music NFTs? Or maybe, are you in touch with some of these DJs and what are the thoughts to Web3?
Yeah, so a good friend of mine, his name is Paris Blom, has created this NFT collection called Soundmint. And what Soundmint is a generative audio experience.
Mm,
And with generative audio, like you have photos, which okay, they create all the different traits, but then imagine you mix in your bass line, your drums, your chorus, your vocals. Those can be intertwined. And then you can also think about if you match songs with the same BPM, you can actually mix those qualities together. Um,
mm,
so it's a really really interesting music experiment that is kind of like showing the paving the way for collaboration and for how these artists will enter the space. Now, the space is like a year old. So at the end of the day, we have no like we can't even predict where it will go in the future and what
mm,
people will stick to. Now, album sales, I'm not really the biggest fan of. Um, I'm looking for more ways to connect with the artist, because it's like I feel that NFTs, in one sense, like there's so many different reasons why NFTs are so powerful, but it's that middle ground connecting the musician to the fans, right? You become part of, like, it's like that second layer, whereas like instead of being a consumer, you can also be like a promoter, an advocate, and be a part of their success. Your actions will actually um, benefit and build the story of that creator, of that musician. So it's really interesting to see all of these different ways NFTs are being used. And I definitely am very, very bullish on music NFTs. It's just finding a way to really utilize the technology for the best. Because at the end of the day, the technology, the underlying technology, is as an authenticator. It's nothing that special. It's literally just a way to protect yourself from buying something that's fake. Um, so yeah, so how the technology will be used in the future is quite infinite, especially with metaverse integrations and all that stuff. I know that's a crazy buzzword, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's exciting because a while back, BT, he launched his own NFT collection, and it was like live generated music. You have these orbs that generate music live using different layers that you were talking about, right? I don't talk about their launch, but I just want to talk about the technology itself because this is digital, right? There's a lot of possibilities. Like you could do 3D, you could do program, you could do website or whatever using a digital format. So I think that's an interesting part. So I do have one more question for you as a video content creator. Do you suffer from burnout by doing a lot of research from time to time? Because for us, right, when we cover different type of NFT projects, when we look at different type of drop website, there we have to filter. We have to filter a lot, right? There's a lot. There's like thousands of projects doing the same profile picture. It's just that they're doing a different animal. So, do you suffer from burnout? How do you deal with that? And how do you find good projects?
Yeah, burnout is very, very real. I've experienced burnout quite a lot in my life, doing the 18 hours a day nonstop. Your decisions get fuzzy. Like, I remember in betweeners, right? Um, I would be, I bought into the in betweeners, and it was like at 2 ETH, and I was like, there was like 100 different projects that were running at the same time. And then a friend of mine sent me Fanta Bear, and Fanta Bear was sitting at a point 4 floor. And then I looked at it 1 second at the art, and I didn't bother looking deeper into it. And I really fucking like hate myself for like that thought process, because I was like looking into the next other project, and it was an absolute shit. And I'm like, fuck, everything's shit, everything's shit, everything's shit. Um, and then I don't know why I did not just look 1 second into the project, and then boom, it blew up to like 9 ETH like in the next 3 weeks, or like next 2 weeks. And then like you that's what, like you want to learn so much, grow so much, build so much, and then it kind of kills you, and then after those losses you get tilted, right? And then you may start making bad decisions, and then you just have to like take a step back, breathe, don't look at NFTs for a day or two, which is very impossible. But but yeah, it's just the only thing I can do is have balance, which is what I've learned to do, and to get into something else that can completely erase your mind from that topic. Um, and why this is so important is because I believe in a very like a straightforward system when it comes to creativity. And creativity to me is when you mix two different perspectives together. So say you're a construction worker and a chef, right? And then you can use both of those different skills into painting. Your perspective is creative when you're creating these pieces. So it's just a mixture of different experiences. So when you're feeling that burnout, it really makes sense to just completely separate yourself, learn a new skill, do something else. Don't just like keep banging on a brick wall with your like over and over and over again. Get a different perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely easy because back then when I was looking at Pentabear, it was at 0.3. And then it went to 9. But then it also, as fast as it went up, as fast as it went down, it's now trading at 1 or 2 or 0 point
Yes,
something.
exactly.
Yeah. So definitely don't be too hard on yourself. I mean, there are other different type of content creators as well, like myself. We feel you, right? We're in the same boat. We experience
Yeah.
the same thing every single day. But all we want is just to create value to our viewers, right? I mean, like if someone were able to spend some of the time, which is, after being in NFTs and crypto, what I found out is the most, expensive or most precious is time. The time that people can give you, right? So if they
Yeah.
could watch your video, watch your content, that means a lot to us. So I know you have, speaking of time, we're running out of time soon, but is there anything else you would like to share before we end the stream?
Anything I'd like to share before the end of the stream? Um, I I think you can cut it from one of the things that I've said. If you ask me a question, I can answer it. Um, I mean, I feel like I've hit a lot of the points that I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think so too. But I do know that you have a baby coming. And how are you planning to celebrate that? Are you gonna do something Web3 related? Maybe make an NFT,
Oh my
buy him a
God.
house in the metaverse?
No. I'm a very
No?
private guy, actually, like birthdays, celebrations, all that stuff.
Sure.
So like baby's born, I'm like holding my baby, everything's good, I'm happy. I mean, I don't know.
But at least you have someone who will wake you up at 3 a.m. for your mint,
Right? Exactly.
right? In this
Like,
time zone. But yeah, Brandon, thank you so much for being here. I've been watching some of your content. It's really informative. And I hope that people watching here could also, really support content creators that are grounded, right? Who aren't those moon boy. Because sometimes I think people watch YouTube videos because they want to feel good in a sense that they brought that investment. They want something to reinforce that, hey, you did a good choice. You made the right decision, right? But sometimes we have to be real to our viewers so that you don't get burned into space. Because if someone gets scammed, if they lose their money, they're no longer coming in. But there's just so many potentials in the space.
yeah, so when it comes to YouTube videos, not only is it getting grounded, because I mean, at the end of the day, being grounded is also kind of boring. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to integrate an element of storytelling. So it's like YouTube in itself, being successful in YouTube is about like having a successful story. You're a storyteller. You are someone who is not only just giving information for information's sake, but entertaining people. And I'm still figuring out ways to do that since I'm a very new content creator. Especially since it was 3 months ago, I was in front of a camera and it would be like stuttering with my speech, and I'm like, shit, this is so hard to talk to a camera. and and then it's slow, but it's okay. Like I'm 3 months in. This is in the long run for the next 3 years, for the next 5 years, 10 years. I don't mind working on everything slowly, getting my fundamentals down, and just adding value to people. And then those are like my plans for how I want to elevate my game when it comes to content creation, and of course, just posting as much content as possible, and consistency, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Being behind a camera and being in front of a camera is a two different experience. Behind the camera, you could critique the person in front of the camera, right? But when you're in front of the camera, you'll be like critiquing yourself. Oh no, I should do this, I should do that. But yeah, do you know that you have another appointment very soon? Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who like what Brandon is sharing, his YouTube, his Twitter is gonna be in the description link below. Feel free to go and follow him. And yeah, that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for being here, Brandon. Hopefully we could get you another time. Maybe we could do a show together, or just a Twitter space would be cool as well.
Sounds good. That sounds
Yeah,
great.
awesome,
Have a great
awesome.
one.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.